Dear students, a grand welcome to Outens Edus Online. നമ്മൾ ഈ സെഷനിൽ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത് some tips and tricks so as to solve inequalities. So, actually what is the difference between inequalities and an equality? We have different types of equations such as linear equations, quadratic equations, cubic equation, etc. Similarly, we have linear inequality, quadratic inequality, modulus inequality, cubic inequalities, etc. So, what is the basic difference between an equation and an inequality? Suppose I have an equation x plus 1 is equal to 0. So, what is the solution? So, we know that x plus 1 is equal to 0 means x is equal to minus 1. So, we have only one values of x that will satisfy this equation. That means an equation is true only for some values of x. A linear equation is true only for one value of x. A quadratic equation, that is an equation in the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, is true only for two values of x. Similarly, a cubic equation is true for three values of x. Then what about an inequality? Suppose I have a linear inequality x plus 1 less than 0. That implies s less than minus 1. So, how many values for x less than minus 1? For x less than minus 1, there are infinite number of values. So, that inequality is satisfied by infinite number of values. But a linear equation is satisfied by or true only for one value of x. Similarly, suppose we have function y is equal to f of x. So, suppose that function be an equality or an equation, that means f of x is equal to 0. That implies that is an equation. Then that is true only for certain values of x. So, inequality means f of x is either greater than 0, f of x is either less than 0, or greater than or equal to 0, or less than or equal to 0. So, we have four inequalities, that is greater than, less than, greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 0. That will decide whether the function is a positive function or a non-negative function. If f of x is greater than 0 means the function is a positive function. If f of x is greater than or equal to 0 means that is a non-negative function. If f of x is less than 0, that means the function is always a negative function. If f of x is less than or equal to 0, then the function is a non-positive function. Okay, so for an equation, that is true only for certain values. For a linear equation, true for only one value. Quadratic equation, that is true for two values. Cubic equation, true for three values. And a fourth order equation, that is true for four values. In general, an nth order equation is true for n values of x. Nth order equation means we have x raised to n plus some constant into x raised to n minus 1 plus some constant, another constant into x raised to n minus 2 up to some constant n is equal to 0. So, an inequality that will be satisfied by infinite number of values. That a linear equation can be represented by ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. That is a straight line. And a quadratic equation, that is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. That is a parabolic in nature. Suppose a quadratic function, that means f of x greater than 0 or f of x less than 0. Function may be open, a parabolic function, or a quadratic function, that is a function f of x is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. That may be open upward or open downward. They may be cross the real axis or cut the real axis. May not be cut the real axis. Not cutting the real axis means that may lie either above the x-axis or below the x-axis. If it cut the x-axis, then there is some values for x that will satisfy the equation. That means if f of x is greater than 0 means the function lies above the x-axis. If f of x is less than 0, then the function lies below the x-axis. If function is given f of x greater than or equal to 0, that is a non-negative function. Now, we can discuss about open interval and closed interval. What is an open interval? Suppose the value of x belongs to open interval 1, 4. What it indicates? Open interval means the extreme values is excluded. That means the extreme values are not included. For example, x belongs to or x is an element of open interval 1, 4. That indicates the value of x lies between 1 and 4. So we can say C1 less than x less than 4. Or in a number line, we can represent the region along the x-axis in between 1 and 4. Both 1 and 4 is excluded. Similarly, suppose 1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 4. That means both 1 and 4 are included. So we say 1 to 4, that is x belongs to closed interval 1 and 4. A closed interval is denoted by a square bracket. So both 1 and 4 is included. Suppose we have a condition 1 less than or equal to x less than 10. That means 1 is included. So that is a closed bracket. And 10 is excluded. That is an open bracket. So we can say x belongs to closed interval 1 to open interval 10. Okay, so suppose x is less than minus 1. That can be denoted by open interval minus infinity to open interval minus 1. Right. So in real axis, the region is for along the number line x less than minus 1. An open bracket that is denoted in the x-axis by a white ball or a hollow circle, and a closed bracket that is denoted in x-axis or in the number line by making use of a dark circle. An open interval we are using a hollow circle, and for denoting a closed interval, that means that point is also included, that is denoted by a dark circle on the number line or on the x-axis. We can discuss how to solve inequalities by making use of some tips and tricks. Suppose we have a function f of x is greater than 0. So f of x is greater than 0 means that is a positive function that will lie above the x. If a function f of x is less than 0, that is a negative function that will lie below the x-axis. If f of x greater than or equal to 0, then what happens? That will cut the x-axis. We are going to discuss about how to solve inequalities that consisting of only linear factors. The factors in the form x plus 1 or x minus 2, x plus 4, or in general some x plus k. For example, we have a function x minus 1 multiplied by x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 3. That may be greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 0. Now we want the condition on x that will satisfy by the inequalities. Or we have a function square root of x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 3 divided by x plus 4. So everything will come in under the square root. So what is the condition on x for which it will exist? And we know that square root is a positive quantity. So anything inside the square root should be positive. We need to find the condition on x such that the things inside the square root should be greater than or equal to 0. So that quantity, that means that quantity, square root of f of x. F of x may be a rational function. Rational function f of x should be greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Now, another thing we have to consider is we should check whether the power or degree of this linear factor. The factor is x minus 1 the whole raised to 3. So the degree is 3. That's an odd power. Suppose we have factor x plus 4 all raised to 6. That means the degree is 6. So we have an even power. So we have to check whether the factors have odd power or even power. Suppose in a function f of x, I have only two factors. For example, f of x is equal to x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 2. So first trace the values of x. So x minus 1, we have x is equal to 1. In x plus 2, we have x is equal to minus 2. So we have x is equal to 1 and x is equal to minus 2. So mark these points minus 2 and 1 on the x-axis. So this point will divide the x-axis into three regions. So for the region x greater than 1, for the region x less than minus 2, and a region for the value of x minus 2 and 1. Suppose we have three linear factors. Suppose for example x minus 1 multiplied by x minus 2 multiplied by x minus 3. So we have traced three values of x. X is equal to 1, 2, 3. Mark these points on the x-axis. So these points will divide the x-axis into four regions. One region is x,
3.
other region is a region in between 2 and 3, and third region is a region lies in between 1 and 2, and a region for x less than 1. Okay, so we have total four regions. And we suppose we need f of x is greater than or equal to 0. All this region either by plus or by minus. And we want to check the condition on f of x as f of x less than or equal to 0. Then check which region have we marked minus. Then all the values in that region will satisfy the inequality. If f of x is greater than or equal to 0, then check the region where we marked plus. All the values in that region where we mark plus will satisfy the condition f of x is greater than or equal to 0. If f of x is greater than or equal to 0, trace point is also included. So we can mark that value by using a dark circle. If f of x is greater than 0, that means the trace point is not included, and the function is a positive function that is always lying above the axis. So mark the points by making use of a hollow circle. Okay. For finding the value of inequality, first we trace the values of x. Mark all these values on the real axis. So this value will divide the x-axis into different regions. Then mark this region either by plus or minus. That will again depending on the power of these factors. If the power of these factors is even power, then we will retain. If the power of the factor is odd power, then we will change the sign. Plus is changed to minus or minus is changed to plus. So based on the above fact, we have to do some problems. Now we are going to solve some inequalities consisting of first order or linear factors only. Linear factors such as s plus 1, s minus 3, s plus 4, etc. Okay. Now we have either f of x is greater than 0, that means f of x is positive quantity, or f of x less than 0, that means negative quantity. F of x is greater than or equal to 0 means that is non-negative quantity, and f of x is less than or equal to 0 means that is a non-positive quantity. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം പ്രോബ്ലം ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഫസ്റ്റ് ഓർഡർ ടേംസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫസ്റ്റ് ലീനിയർ ഫാക്ടേഴ്സ് ഉള്ള പ്രോബ്ലംസ് മാത്രം നമുക്ക് കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യാം. അപ്പം നമ്മൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, ഇക്വേഷന് ഓഡ് പവറും ഈവൻ പവർ ടേംസിനെ ട്രേസ് ഔട്ട് ചെയ്യുക. എന്നിട്ട് എക്സിന്റെ വാല്യൂ നമ്മൾ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുക. ഫോർ സപ്പോസ് വി ഹാവ് ഫാക്ടർ എക്സ് മൈനസ് 1, സോ എക്സ് ഇസ് ഇക്വൽ ടു 1. ഒരു എക്സ് പ്ലസ് 4 എന്നുള്ള ഫാക്ടർ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ വി ക്യാൻ ട്രേസ് എക്സ് ഇസ് ഇക്വൽ ടു മൈനസ് 4. സിമിലർലി ഫോർ എക്സ് പ്ലസ് 10, സോ വി ക്യാൻ ട്രേസ് എക്സ് ഇസ് ഇക്വൽ ടു മൈനസ് 10. എന്നിട്ട് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം, നമ്മൾ ആ എക്സിന്റെ വാല്യൂ എല്ലാം ഒരു നമ്പർ ലൈനിൽ അടയാളപ്പെടുത്തുക. എന്നിട്ട് വി ഡിവൈഡ് ദ നമ്പർ ലൈൻ ഇൻടു ഡിഫറെന്റ് റീജിയൻസ്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ നമുക്ക് രണ്ട് ഫാക്ടർ ഉണ്ടെന്ന് കരുതാം, എക്സ് മൈനസ് 1 മൾട്ടിപ്ലൈഡ് ബൈ എക്സ് പ്ലസ് 4. അപ്പൊ നമ്മുടെ ഫാക്ടേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എക്സ് ഇസിക്കൽ ടു മൈനസ് 4ഉം. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ നമ്പർ ലൈൻ വരയ്ക്കുക, എന്നിട്ട് അതിൽ എക്സ് ഇസിക്കൽ ടു മൈനസ് 4ഉം എക്സ് ഇസിക്കൽ ടു 1ഉം മാർക്ക് ചെയ്യാം. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് എത്ര ടോട്ടൽ റീജിയൻ ഉണ്ട് ഇൻ എക്സ് ആക്സിസ്? നമുക്ക് 3 റീജിയൻ ഉണ്ട്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് എക്സ് ഗ്രേറ്റർ ദാൻ 1, എക്സ് ലെസ് ദാൻ മൈനസ് 4, ആൻഡ് എ റീജിയൻ ഇൻ ബിറ്റ്വീൻ മൈനസ് 4 ആൻഡ് 1. സോ ടോട്ടൽ വി ഹാവ് 3 റീജിയൻസ്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം, അവിടെ എക്സ് മൈനസ് 1ന്റെ പവറും എക്സ് പ്ലസ് 4ന്റെ പവറും 1 ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ റൈറ്റ് മോസ്റ്റ് സൈഡിൽ നിന്ന് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. എക്സ് ഗ്രേറ്റർ ദാൻ 1 എന്നുള്ള റീജിയനിൽ നമ്മൾ പ്ലസ് സൈൻ മാർക്ക് ചെയ്യാം. എന്നിട്ട് 1 ന്റെ പവർ നോക്കാം. Here x minus 1 the whole raised to 1. So that is an odd power. So we just change the sign. So first we mark plus, then change the plus sign to minus in the region minus 4 less than x less than 1. നമ്മൾ അടുത്ത ഫാക്ടർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ x plus 4. So x plus 4 ന്റെ പവർ 1 ആണ്. അത് odd number ആണ്. That is an odd power. അപ്പോൾ we just change the sign. So we change the minus sign to plus sign. So we have three region. First is for x greater than 1 plus in between minus 4 and 1 the negative minus and function f of x that is given as x minus 1 multiplied by x plus 4. If the inequality is that is greater than 0, that means that is a positive quantity. So positive quantity means the region for x greater than 1 and for the region where x less than minus 4. So we can say x belongs to open bracket minus infinity to open bracket minus 4. Since our f of x is greater than 0, that is a positive quantity. So the point x is equal to minus 4 is excluded. So we are using an open bracket. Then x is greater than 1 where the function is positive. The function to be positive, the region x greater than is excluded. That is x belongs to open bracket 1 to infinity. Okay, so x belongs to open bracket minus infinity to open bracket minus 4 union open bracket 1 to infinity. Now consider another example, that is f of x is equal to x minus 1 the whole square multiplied by x plus 4 that is less than 0. Now trace the values of x. We have x is equal to 1 and x is equal to minus 4. Now mark these points on the real axis, that is x is equal to minus 4 and x is equal to 1. The f of x is less than 0. That is a non-positive quantity. So we can mark a hollow circle at the point x is equal to 1 and x is equal to minus 4. Since that point is excluded. Now we have three regions. For a region x greater than 1 and a region for x less than minus 4 and a region in between minus 4 and 1. So we are starting from the rightmost end, that is for the region x greater than 1. Start with a plus sign for x greater than 1. Now look at the power of x minus 1. The power of x minus 1 is 2. That is an even number. So what we have to do is we retain the same sign in the region minus 4 less than x less than 1. Greater than 1 we have put a plus sign. So since the factor x minus 1 the whole square has an even power, so retain the sign plus. Now look the point x is equal to minus 1 is 1. That is an odd number. So now the sign. So plus is changed into minus. So for the region minus infinity to minus 4, the value of the function become negative. And these 2 points are excluded since the function is less than 0. So we have a hollow circle at the point x is equal to minus 4 and x is equal to 1. So function is less than 0 or function is negative if x belongs to open interval minus infinity to minus 4. So the answer is x belongs to minus infinity to minus 4. Both are open brackets. That means that points are excluded. Now consider a question, x minus 1 the whole square multiplied by x minus 2 whole raised to 3 multiplied by x minus 3 whole raised to 5. So the power of the factor x minus 1 is 2, that is an even number, and the power of x minus 2 that is 3, that is an odd number, and the power of x minus 3 that is again an odd number. So we trace the points, it is 1, 2 and 3. Mark these points on the number line. But our inequality is greater than 0. So we mark this point by using a hollow circle. Okay. Now these points divides the x-axis into 4 regions. X greater than 3, in between 2 and 3, in between 1 and 2, and x less than 1. So we start with a positive sign plus for the region x greater than. Now look at the power of x minus 3. The power of x minus 3 is an odd number. So we change the sign. So plus is changed to minus. Now look the power of factor x minus 2. That is 3. Again a odd number. So again we change the sign from minus to plus. Now look of x minus 1. That is 2. That is an even number. So we retain the sign. So we have plus, minus, plus, then again plus for x less than 1. Our x belongs to open bracket minus infinity to open bracket 1. The 1 is not included. Union open bracket 1 to 2. Since in this region also the function is positive. Union open bracket 3 to infinity. This region also the function is positive. Suppose the question is to find the region where f of x is less than 0. X belongs to open bracket 2 to 3. For this question, we can say x belongs to open bracket minus infinity to open bracket 1, union open bracket 1 comma 2, union open bracket 3 comma infinity. Or we can say the value of x is r minus. Minus means we are going to exclude that coming after minus. That means under minus this will come open bracket 2 comma 3 union set 1. 1 is also not included. Consider another question. We want to find the value of x for which the following function exists. A function is given as square root of x minus 1 the whole square multiplied by x minus 3 the whole square whole divided by x minus 5 the whole raised to. Since we know that the square root is a positive quantity, so this function to be existence, the quantity inside the square root should be greater than or equal to 0. That should be a non-negative number. So we can impose a condition as the term inside the square root should be greater than or equal to 0. Here the function inside the square root is x minus 1 the whole square multiplied by x minus 3 whole cube whole divided by x minus 5 whole raised to 5. Now we trace the points. X is equal to 1, x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 5. Now mark this point 1, 3 and 5 on the number line. These points will divide the number line into 4 regions. That is for x greater than 5, in between 3 and 5, in between 1 and 3 and for x less than 1. Now we start with a positive side from the rightmost end. So for the region x greater than 5, we put a plus sign. Now look at the power of the factor x minus 5. The power of x minus 5 is 5. That is an odd number. So we change the sign from plus to minus. So in between 3 and 5, the region is minus. That is the function is less than 0. So in this region, the function is not defined. So if you are taking any value in between 3 and 5, the quantity inside the square root becomes negative. So that is not defined. Now we look the region in between 1 and 3. For that purpose, look at the power of the factor x minus 3. The power of x minus 3 is 3. That is an odd number. So we just change the sign. Sign minus change to plus. So in between 1 and 3, the sign is plus. So value in between 1 and 3, the function becomes positive. Now look at the power of x minus 1. The power of x minus 1 is 2. That is an even number. So we just retain the sign. So we retain the plus sign for the region x less than 1 also. We can include the point x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 3. When x is equal to 1, the function becomes 0. So that is defined. For x is equal to 3 also, the function becomes 0. That is also defined. So the point x is equal to 1 and 3 marked by a dark circle. That means that point includes. So we have a closed bracket. Now what happens when x is equal to 5? When x is equal to 5, the denominator term becomes 0. So the function becomes infinity or not defined. So x should not be equal to 5 also. So our region where f of x exists is open bracket minus infinity 3. That 3 is closed bracket. Union open bracket 5 to open bracket infinity. Since 5 is not included, when we put x is equal to 5, the function become infinity, that is not defined. In the coming sessions, we will discuss about quadratic and modulus inequality. Okay, thank you. Bye.